talk about generic. So Granblue Fantasy is actually a fantasy anime, obviously, that isn't actually an isekai. It's actually its own fantasy world, so you don't have to watch the person getting taken from another world into the fantasy world and having to learn everything, which is, I guess, kind of nice, and it's one of the unique kind of things the show does. I guess it's not really unique; it's just nice. So the plot of the show is simple. A woman is being chased by an evil empire. Main character saves her, and our main character has to help her, and then they have to get to a place where they'll be safe. Along the way, they pick up a lot of side characters, and they solve some problems that they have to solve, like all characters do. And basically, that's really the entire plot of the series. That's all that really happens. You go around finding new characters, fixing problems, and trying to get to where they're supposed to be. This is really the entire plot, and it's something that we've seen a lot already. There's nothing really unique here. So maybe the characters are unique and maybe they can keep our attention, Well, unfortunately, no. The main character is your typical self-insert main character where he will do whatever it takes to save the female lead, and he'll throw away his life for anything, basically, to help anybody. He's that kind of main character. His only real fault as a main character is that he cares too much, and we've seen those so much already. This is probably my most hated anime trope, is the main character that cares too much and he can't do anything wrong. And that's exactly what we get here. As for our main female lead, well, she is the damsel in distress, who kind of doesn't know anything about the world because she's been kept locked away, and so you get that part of the plot. And but she does have a super strength that she has with the main character, and basically they can beat everything in one shot. So that's how it always ends up. They just beat everything with one shot. So you always know how the fight's gonna end. For side characters, we have this character named Vern, who is a small mascot character who's just there to be teased, made fun of, and he's just there to be cute and make jokes. It's kind of like if you guys have seen Seven Deadly Sins, I think, yeah, the Seven Deadly Sins. The character of Hawk is a lot like this, but I feel like Vern's just a lesser version of Hawk. But if you did not like that character, Hawk, you're not going to like Vern at all. So hopefully you guys like that. For me, the two positives in this show are Catalina and Rockem, which are the two side characters, and that's really the reason I stuck with the show for so long. Catalina is a female knight that actually saves and is by the princess's side the whole time, or our female lead. One thing, I'll immediately start with character design. And I actually really enjoy Catalina's character design. To start off with, she actually has armor as a female knight. She's got armor, and her boob armor isn't. I mean, it's still boob armor, but it's not like other shows. And you guys know exactly what I mean. Her armor is a little bit more normal, even though it's still a little too tight for what a knight would actually wear. But it's pretty nice, and she wears earrings, which obviously no knight would actually wear earrings because they would get in the way. But that's just a little interesting character design that I liked, because the anime you almost never see earrings, so only on specific characters like the gal type characters. But in this case, it was a knight character. That was interesting. I kind of liked it. I liked her more unique type of character design. As for what she's like, well, she's able to hold her own in fights, although sometimes she seems a little underpowered, and the main character has to take over. But it is nice to know that even though she's an older character than the main character, her entire existence doesn't revolve around the main character and how much she loves the main character or how much she wants to get with the main character. Normally, older female characters in anime end up being like the teacher that wants to teach the youngling about sex or whatever. But in this case, she's not like that. She's really just there as not a parent figure, but like a teacher figure, kind of. But yeah, not specifically there for sex, which is nice. She's there to protect the main female lead. So I enjoyed that. Now, for my personal favorite character in this show, it is Rockem, and the reason is, well, he's a lot like, if you guys ever played Tales of Xillia, Rockem is a lot like Alvin in that show, where he's kind of like the cool guy who always has fun jokes to make. And even his character design kind of reminded me of him, just because of the hair, the color, their face structure is a lot alike, and the color of the hair is almost exactly the same. A lot of the stuff between those two characters are almost exactly the same. They also shoot guns and stuff. So yeah, they reminded me a lot of them. Now, there is a plot point, I'm not going to spoil anything too much, but there is a plot point where Rockem will not fly ships. This is very early on in the show where they tell you this. I'm not going to spoil why exactly. It was a lighthearted reason, and it kind of made me happy. because in a lot of animes, the reasons that these characters have for not doing certain things are traumatic things. Murder, their parents were murdered, they were beaten or raped, or something traumatic happened in their past. But in this case, it's honestly something more inspiring and kind of fun as to why he won't do a certain thing. So I found that kind of cool. It's just nice to have a happy little backstory that was just nice. I think it was just happy, and I liked it. It was cool without being too corny. I guess it didn't feel like mushy, but it just felt cool, like a guy's hobby. that was just nice. Other than those two characters, there wasn't much I liked about this show. The show felt really, really bland, and I think one of the reasons is because this is based off an app called, I think it's also called Granblue Fantasy, but it's only in Japanese, so I can't even play it. But I feel like that's why the thing's so bland. The self-insert main character, I'm sure he's not even there in the app game, but I'm not sure. So yeah, that's why it feels like it's just so boring, and a lot of stuff feels like you should have played the game before watching the anime. Like there's this scene where like 20 characters come in that could all be part of the main crew that you're with, but they get shown for like 5 seconds, and you're like, what the hell is this? These all look like main characters, but they're not because they're only showed for 5 seconds. So I assume they play a story in the game, or they're more important in the game, or at least maybe they're characters in the game that you can summon or things. I don't know how the game actually works, but yeah, they just kind of show up. 50 main characters show up, and then they just toss them all at you like you're supposed to know every one of them. And I don't know what to say about that. It just felt weird. It feels more like they were making a trailer for the game rather than an actual show. That's the main thing that I would get from this. It feels more like not a anime, really. It just feels like a trailer for a show. Like, build it up and then play the game. That's what it felt like to me. But the positive thing from it being from a game is that the art style is really well done. Like some of the monsters you see, some of the enemies they fight, or things that they interact with are pretty well done. And I did enjoy the art style that they used with the line drawings. Some of the lines were really thick, and then some of them were really thin, and then a lot of the time they were disconnected. It's hard to describe. Maybe I'll put some pictures, but there was definitely a specific art style they were going for in the way the lines were drawn, and I really enjoyed that. I find it kind of unique, and I didn't find it distracting. That is something that I will remember from this show. But to tell you guys the truth, I didn't actually finish the show. I only made it to episode 12 out of 13, and that's because the thumbnail of the 13th episode was a beach episode. And I was like, no way am I watching a beach episode, because, I mean, the goal of the show, they were supposed to get somewhere. That's not going to happen. We just have a beach episode for the last part, and I feel like that's such a bad way to end the show. Oh my god, I just couldn't. I mean, maybe it wasn't a full beach episode, but part of it was a beach episode. Either way, they're not going to complete their goal, so I have no reason to watch it. They're not going to finish the show, and they're probably not going to get another season. So I just didn't see a reason to continue watching this show. But overall, I was bored with the show. I feel like I could predict everything, every situation. I could even predict what the characters were going to say, just because we've seen these characters so many times. And one of the major conflicts, like I would say the first couple episodes, first maybe 8 episodes are fine, but then they get to this big dramatic conflict, and you just know exactly how it's going to turn out. You know exactly what they're going to have to do to fix it. You know exactly what the main character is going to have to say. You just know everything that's going to happen, and I just could not watch. I was like, oh, I know exactly how this is going to end, so I got as far as I could, and I'm like, no more. And with the main characters basically having an insta-win ability, all the tension from all the fights were basically gone. I'm just waiting till when they insta-win. I would really only recommend this anime to people just starting out with anime. One of the reasons is because, well, it fills you in with every cliche in anime, but not in an overwhelming or super negative way, and it doesn't bring the super crazy anime stuff that we've seen. In terms of sexual, it's not overly sexual. Maybe the beach episode is, but I haven't seen it. But I just feel like it is a nice way to ease people into anime, and I guess that's why I would recommend it to people starting out with anime. But anybody who's really watched anime for a lot will probably get really, really bored by this. So that's what I think I would recommend it to. But obviously it wouldn't be the first thing I would recommend people to see. So that's really all I have to say for this quick review of the anime Granblue Fantasy. Hopefully you guys liked it. It wasn't as in-depth as I would normally go, but I have a lot of animes that I watched, and I have to make a lot of these videos. So I'm trying to get through all those, and then I am going to have a full review of, let me think. Oh, I'm going to have a full review of My First Girlfriend is a Gal, so that should be pretty fun. That's a interesting anime. Anyway, I'll be done with this here. So hopefully you guys had a good time, and I will see you guys in the next review or the next video, which I will be a League of Legends video. Anyway, see you guys.